I just finished watching Scream Factory's Dead Time Stories Blu-ray DVD combo pack, and it's awesome. This is the first time Dead Time Stories has been released on Blu-ray, and it looks and sounds amazing. I had never seen Dead Time Stories before, and I really enjoyed watching it. It's a fun horror film that features 3 short stories that are loosely based on classic fairy tales. The subtle humor in Dead Time Stories was great and had me laughing out loud at times. I thought that there was a great mixture of horror and comedy. Dead Time Stories was released in 1986 and was written, directed, and produced by Jeffrey Dellman. It stars Scott Valentine, Melissa Leo, Matt Mittler, Nicole Picard, Michael Mesmer, and Brian DePirsa. I thought Dead Time Stories was very cleverly written, and it's filled with terrifying and shocking scenes and some pretty spectacular special effects. I watched Dead Time Stories several times before I wrote this review because there were so many things I didn't catch the first couple times I watched it. There are lots of little jokes that are easily missed. Dead Time Stories starts out with a young boy named Brian who is not able to sleep and convinces his Uncle Mike, who is babysitting him, to tell him a bedtime story so he can fall asleep. The first story that Uncle Mike tells Brian is a story about 2 witches who need to perform a sacrifice on a specific night to bring their dead sister back from the dead. After the story about the witches, Brian is still not able to sleep and gets his uncle to tell him another story. Uncle Mike is trying to watch a Miss Nude pageant on television and wants to get back to it, so he tells a story similar to Little Red Riding Hood. In the second story, there is a man who is a werewolf, and he takes medication that will knock him out during a full moon so he doesn't turn into a werewolf and cause carnage. He gets his medicine under the counter from a local pharmacy. One day, Rachel, who happens to be dressed in a red jogging suit, goes to the pharmacy to get a prescription for her grandmother. The man who is the werewolf is also there at the same time to get his prescription, and the pharmacist mixes up the 2 bags so the man gets the grandmother's prescription. Now he must go and try to get his medicine from Grandma, and she won't let him in the house so he can get it. The man does turn into a werewolf, and some pretty crazy things happen. After this story, Brian is still unable to get to sleep, so he gets Uncle Mike to tell him one last story, and he promises to go to bed. The third story has a Goldilocks and the 3 Bears theme to it. A woman helps her husband and dim-witted son escape a mental institute, and their last name just happens to be Bear. They find a house in the woods where a woman named Goldilocks lives. Goldilocks is a murderess and can make things happen with her mind. Things get very interesting when the Bear family meets her. I won't spoil anything about Dead Time Stories, so you'll just have to watch it and find out for yourself how each one turns out. Scream Factory has included some amazing special features on Dead Time Stories. I had never seen the film before, and I really enjoyed listening to all the interviews and audio commentaries with director Jeffrey Dellman and other cast members. I also enjoyed seeing the deleted scenes and watching the trailer for the film. The special features include a new high-definition transfer from the original negative, new audio commentary with co-writer-director Jeffrey Dellman, new I Like the Grotesque, an interview with co-writer-director Jeffrey Dellman, new interviews with actors Catherine DePrume, Melissa Leo, and Scott Valentine. There's The Black Forest, which is an alternate cut of the first story about the witches. There's deleted scenes, theatrical trailers, and a still gallery. I am so impressed with all the obscure horror titles that Scream Factory has been releasing. They have been releasing a lot of great and hard-to-find films from the 70s and 80s, and I get excited whenever a new title is announced. I really enjoyed watching Scream Factory's Dead Time Stories a lot. If you're a fan of anthology horror films like me, then you are going to love it. I highly recommend that you check it out.